Set in 1968, it is Halloween in the town of Factory Valley. A young fellow named Raymond Michael Garza crashes into town. Close by, Gostlinus van Stella Nichols, Zoe Colety, is called by her companions Thro Steinberg, Austin Zajor, and Orgy Hildebrand, Gabriel Hurry, to pull a trick on school menace Tommy Milner, Austin Abrams. The musclehead and his mates are tossing brew bottles at a local scarecrow called Harold, imprint Stager. Tommy likewise takes a swing at Harold with his bat. Hurl fishes crap out of the latrine and meets with his companions to toss it, in addition to eggs and tissue, at Tommy's vehicle while he is out with Thro's sister Ruthie, Natalie Ganjern, and his pals. Tommy winds up driving his vehicle back into a wall. He and his companions pursue the children, who race to a drive-in theater and conceal in Raymond's vehicle. The harassers find them and compromise them into getting out, including Raymond. Be that as it may, they are got out of there by security, however not before Tommy offers a scornful remark to Stella about her mother leaving her and her dad. After the jerks leave, Stella calmly inhales outside prior to welcoming Raymond to join her and the folks into looking at a scary place. The four go to the home of Sarah Roars, a figure in an old legend about an upset lady who purportedly harmed various youngsters in the area. The children enter after Raymond picks the locks on the entryway. Orgy and Hurl wreck around to unnerve one another, yet Thro winds up concealing in a wardrobe where he sees the old room turn repaired, and what seems, by all accounts, to be an elderly person with a canine sitting by the bed. Orgy makes the way for alarm Hurl, and everything looks old once more. In the interim, Stella and Raymond track down Sarah's old book of alarming stories. They are then caught down there by Tommy and his thugs. Ruth advises Tommy to let them out, however he secures her in there as well. Subsequent to attempting to break out, a concealed power allows them to free. They go outside to observe that Raymond's vehicle was vandalized by Tommy, with wetback composed on it. Raymond should accept it to the shop, and since he was living in his vehicle, he has no place to go. Stella welcomes him to come over and remain in the storm cellar. Tommy drives home alcoholic and is requested by his mom to convey eggs to the neighbors. On his way, he runs over Harold and insults him once more. Simultaneously, Stella peruses from Sarah's book and sees the story Harold showing up. As she understands it, she sees that it makes reference to Tommy. He winds up strolling all around and sees that Harold is as of now not on his pike. Tommy before long acknowledges he is being trailed by Harold. He trips across a rake and uses it to attempt to stop Harold, yet the scarecrow takes it from him and skews Tommy with it. As Tommy has a go at taking off, his body begins to top off with straw. In the first part of the day, Raymond carries his vehicle to the shop, yet he is squeezed by Boss Turner, Bill cries, over his appearance around. At the point when he sees Tommy's message, Turner questions him over the alleged battle he got into with him. Raymond specifies his last name being Rodriguez, and Turner suggests he will examine him. Tommy is noted as being missing by Stella's dad Roy, senior member Norris. She goes to explore with Raymond, and they view what shows up as Harold wearing Tommy's garments. Stella calculates that this is Tommy, and that the story she read showed some signs of life. She chooses to return the book to the Cry's house to keep it from proceeding. At the point when Stella gets back with Raymond, he tracks down Sarah's book back on Stella's shelf. Another story then starts to show up, The Enormous Toe. This one highlights Orgy's name, and it includes him eating a stew containing an extremity, and an incorporeal voice calling out, "You took my toe." Stella calls Orgy to caution him, yet he winds up eating the stew, and the huge toe lady, Javier Batet, begins following him. Orgy rushes to conceal in his room under his bed, however, as he naturally suspects he is protected, Large Toe pulls him under the bed and uncovers her frightful face prior to making him vanish. Stella and Raymond appear past the point of no return, and see the poor marks under Orgy's bed to have their feelings of dread affirmed. Stella tells Hurl and Ruth that Orgy is gone and that this is a result of the book. Fro recommends they take it to the police, however Raymond would rather not engage with them since they could think he had something to do with both Orgy and Tommy vanishing, as there is currently a hunt party going out for the last option. The threesome attempt to consume the book, yet it doesn't work. The companions go to the Plant Valley Journal to uncover any old data on Sarah. They find articles about a lady named Humdinger Baptiste, who worked for the Cries family yet was terminated after Sarah hung herself, and it was accepted that Humdinger was showing Sarah dark sorcery. The book then begins to compose another story, The Red Spot. This one is about Ruthie, who got nibbled by a bug while caught in the Howes house. She is set to go in front of an audience for an exhibition of By Birdie, yet the bug chomp on her cheek begins to deteriorate. She goes to the restroom to mind it, and hears a voice calling out to her. An insect leg then, at that point, jabs out of Ruth's cheek, before an entire multitude of bugs begin creeping out and messing with her. Stella, Hurl, and Raymond race to the school so as to get Ruth and toss water on her to repulse the bugs. She is canvassed in chomps and crying to get the bugs off. She is subsequently taken to the emergency clinic. The companions track down the now older and blind Humdinger, Lorraine Toussaint, to ask what occurred with her and Sarah, wanting to figure out how to fix what has been happening. She says there was no wizardry included, however the presence of the book overpowers Humdinger. The triplet then heads to a medical clinic that they think has records of the Howes family. Toss makes reference to having a fantasy about seeing a pale lady in a red room, telling him, "This is a shrewd spot. Run while you actually can." The children sneak in and make a beeline for find anything that records they would be able. Stella and Raymond run over a room with old accounts from Sarah as she got electroshock treatment from her sibling Ephraim. They hear the voice of Sarah, Kathleen Pollard, who, for reasons unknown, was guiltless and never harmed the kids, however it was her family's problem for corrupting the water supply, and they tormented her and outlined her to conceal their mysteries. She then seems, by all accounts, to be recounting the new story being stated, the fantasy. Orderlies find Fro as he snuck in, and the caution goes off, making everything go red. He then, at that point, sees the pale woman, likewise in print stature, who shows up unusually overweight and has a stunning smile carved all over. Regardless of where Hurl runs, the pale woman continues to come increasingly close until he can't get away and she retains Throw. Stella and Raymond figure out past the point of no return that he is gone, and they are removed from the emergency clinic. Stella calls her dad from the region. She fears that she will pass on account of the book, and she tells him not to believe that she is taking off. Roy tells her to not believe that it was ever her issue that her mom left. Turner then, at that point, cross-examines Stella and Raymond about the vanishings of their companions. They attempt to make sense of that this is a direct result of the book, however it is excessively far-gone for Turner to accept. He additionally raises that Raymond's genuine last name is Spirits and that he evaded the draft. The two are put in adjoining cells, and Raymond makes sense of that his sibling was drafted to Vietnam and was killed out there, so he moved away in the wake of learning he was to be drafted. Before long, the following story is being composed, and a beast called the Jangly Man, Troy James, arises. He breaks Turner's neck and throws his body towards Stella's cell. She gets the keys, yet the Jangly Man endeavors to get Raymond since his name was in the book, and he is aware of the Jangly Man from an old story his dad told him. Stella liberates them both from the cell, and they understand they should rush to the Cries house to stop this. Jangly Man pursues them as they take Turner's vehicle, however Raymond figures out how to lose him by crashing the vehicle and sticking Jangly Man to a train. Stella and Raymond race to the Cries house, where they get isolated as Jangly Man goes for Raymond. Stella is maneuvered into one more space by the phantoms of the Cries family. She encounters Sarah's phantom, who is preparing to trap Stella in her own story. In any case, Stella hears Raymond's voice coming clean with her to tell Sarah. Stella faces the Phantom and says that she realizes that her family killed the kids and outlined her. However, she is becoming as large of a beast as they were by tormenting and taking her companions. Stella guarantees Sarah that she will come clean about her. Sarah gives Stella a plume and recounts her to compose Sarah's story in her own blood. Stella composes reality, and Sarah's apparition howls prior to getting over. The jangly man goes down as the dread seems to stop. Stella and Raymond rush to embrace one another. Later on, Raymond eagerly goes to be drafted in Vietnam. He expresses goodbye to Stella, who gives him a letter and vows to keep in touch with him. He peruses it on the transport, and it's a letter from her requesting that he return home soon. Stella composes a story in the school paper about reality over the Roars family ancestry. While relatively few individuals are tuning in, not set in stone to spread the word. She then, at that point, goes with Roy and the recuperated Ruth, as they intend to utilize Sarah's book to figure out how to bring back Orgy and Hurl.